Yeah, fire, pouring rain, or just dark as the middle of midnight in Times Square, as another 8 inches is getting poured on us here in the Northeast. Snowmageddon, this is like third heavy snowfall we've had this year. But yeah, it is a bad weather day, followed up by following up on maybe the worst Super Bowl that has been played in quite some time. Boy, was that an ugly exhibition last night, and I felt bad. I felt bad for Peyton. I thought he had too good of a year to go out that way. But who knows? There's a lot of people wondering if he'll even be around next year. We'll have to wait and see if that, in fact, becomes the case. But Kevin McCullough, really glad to have you with us, and thank you for taking us with you. We are coming to you from the underground bunker of AFA today, the top secret location. This is where, if Snowmageddon happens, of course I'm here. If for instance we have some sort of nuclear blast go off, this is where I'll be, following the end of the world. So if I don't get vaporized, this is where I'll come to you from the next day. Anyway, so glad you're with us. Our phone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. We're talking about some of the news stories that made news yesterday. The other one that shocked everybody was Philip Seymour Hoffman, the actor, who he's really known for playing quite ugly roles. He never plays a pretty actor or a role of any sort, but he was always kind of the dopey, no pun intended, friend or advisor or newspaper editor or whatever, but a very gifted actor nonetheless. Dead with a heroin needle stuck in his arm. And I wondered this question. It went through my mind a second time today. I've thought this before when we find celebrities that have died from overdose, because we never hear about non-celebrities that die of overdose, and there's a lot more of those that do. But there was this piece of me that wondered, I wonder if his first narcotic, his first illicit use of a drug of some sort, I wonder if that was weed. Because here's something that's kind of interesting if you look at the data. And I'm not saying that all people that use weed become hard drug abusers. I don't believe that. I think that there are some people that do, but I know that almost all hard drug abusers start with weed. So I just wonder, there's so much discussion from the local, like here in New York, the mayor of New York is talking about legalizing marijuana, and then you have states that are doing it, Colorado, a couple of others that are doing it. And then we see a story like that, and he's found dead with a heroin needle stuck in his arm. A most undignified way to go. You just wonder. You just wonder. Anyway, it's sad. That happened yesterday. There's a couple of other things that were covered up in the news, and I'll throw these in, and then we'll just take calls the rest of the way. But did you hear this weekend about what U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was up against, or was up to, I should say? U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is again the target of criticism, direct and indirect, by Israeli leaders after he suggested, listen to this, our Secretary of State is publicly suggesting that Israel be delegitimized and boycotted if they don't come to a peace deal with the Palestinians. I'm curious your thoughts on that. 888-589-8840. Not some Muslim country, America. Our Secretary of State publicly saying that Israel should face delegitimization and boycott campaigns if they don't come to a deal with the Palestinians. I was just in Israel last spring, and I met with several of the leading political voices there. And I got to give it to their credit. They would say, what do you think of our country? And I'd say, I love Israel. I love the people of Israel. I'm supportive of your existence as a state. I want you guys to be healthy and safe. I said, I apologize for our administration that they keep kicking you in the teeth at every moment, but I really got to let you know it's not a nationwide thing. Our citizens love your country. It's just this political party that's in power chooses to treat you like dogs, but that is not the feeling of average Americans. And they would say thank you and so forth, and they would try to be very brave and not. They would never criticize. They would never pile on. They would never add to the criticism that I made about President Obama or our government or how they had been treating the nation of Israel. But for John Kerry to publicly suggest delegitimizing Israel or boycotting them because they don't come to a peace plan with the Palestinians, who are we to put that on them? Where do we walk around, ape punching our chest thinking it's the Leonard, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Maybe he has a driving range in the one of those virtual ones where you hit it off of the tee and it's electronic. And I don't know. I would hate to think that he was anywhere else but in the strategy room. I would really hate to think that we had a commander-in-chief who, when SEALs were under attack, Navy SEALs, you know how much we invest to train one of those guys? And two of their very best under attack, saving people, saving lots of lives, and then having to fend off an attack against their larger compound, and that's when they died. Where were you, Mr. President? Where were you? I don't know why Mr. Oreilly didn't get to that. That's one of the things I would have started with. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Kenny's calling from Indiana. Hi, Kenny. Kevin McCullough is my name. So glad you're with us.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure thing.
And thank you for speaking up for many Americans who feel the way you do. And the president's comment about working hard to get ahead. About 4.5 years ago, in order to keep my job with my company, I had to transfer what normally took 6 miles round trip. I now drive 72 miles round trip. And gasoline, what it is now, it costs me about $5,000 extra a year just to go to and from work. And so, back when he was a candidate, he made a comment that he wanted gasoline at $5 a gallon. And, of course, at that time, we know it was about $1.83 average.
Right.
And so where's our opportunity to get ahead when they just keep doing things that knock us down all the time?
It's hard. And I've heard what's interesting, Kenny, about your situation is it's not unique. I've heard person after person after person talk about how much harder it is just to get to break even, which is why in the State of the Union last week, I found it kind of interesting that he was saying, despite all the quote progress we've made, there's still most Americans just living paycheck to paycheck and barely getting by. And I'm like, yeah, but you've been working on this 6 years, Mr. President. Shouldn't we start to seeing something by now? I mean, think about this, Kenny. 9/11 happens, greatest terror attack on our soil. The economy more or less shuts down completely. Air travel, shipping, everything that's needed to get goods and services from place to place is out for, several days. The banking industry, all kinds of things under, tough circumstances. And yet we had continual economic growth from that first year of Bush's presidency until almost the later half of the seventh year into the eighth year of his presidency. And you're going under terrorist attack with bad situations happening and the economy not doing necessarily all that well. How did we stimulate all that? Oh yeah, he awarded small business owners for job creation. He did things that this president has refused to do. And at the end of the day, if we do not change course from what we are currently doing, we are not going to improve the situation. I mean, it's going to be another bad situation for a long period of time. Kenny, thanks for the call. Here's what's interesting about that. You have an economy that's technically in recovery. According to the technical economic conditions, our economy has been recovering since about the fifth month of Obama's first year. But the stagnation of that recovery is so slow. It is so stymied. It is so bad in terms of how it's being executed. The majority of the nation still believes we're in a recession. And the majority of those people that are out there going, there's no help coming. It is truly astounding when you understand the actual ramifications and the perception of how people are living. The truth is we have not helped Main Street. And that was the big argument. Well, we're going to come in and help Main Street. Nobody's going to help Wall Street anymore. We're not going to help, these golden parachute guys. Well, with Obamacare, you gave a whole ton of waivers to golden parachute companies. You just let all kinds of buddies of yours get out of it. But the job killing policies that are, going to be left because of it, you left those for the majority of small companies to try to enforce. It's really, really weird when you think about it. Let's go to line 3. Richard is in North Carolina. Richard, thanks for being here. You're on with Kevin McCullough.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you very much for taking my call. I'll be short and to the point. I just wanted two things. One, I wanted to let you know that the first caller that you talked to who gave his opinion on the Oreilly interview with President Obama, I personally, and many of others of us here in North Carolina, totally agree with his position and conclusion. And secondly, when Oreilly was talking to the president regarding the attack on Benghazi, he really got the president to admit that he knew pretty soon after it had happened, along with Clinton, and that they concluded, it sounded like to me, that it really was a group of terrorists that were attacking. Then at that point, why didn't Oreilly follow up with the question, Mr. President, why didn't you help them? Why did you ignore the plight that they were in? He had a great opportunity to hit him with that.
Yeah, there were several swings and misses yesterday on Oreilly's part. I mean, I give him kudos for getting the major subjects on the radar screen and at least getting a response on several of them, like not a smidge on the IRS thing. But the Benghazi stuff to me is probably the worst stuff that Obama can face, and to be in kind of an unfiltered situation where he doesn't have a handler that can step in and take over that. I feel like Oreilly missed a little bit of an opportunity to really, go for the jugular and stick the canines into the neck. There was a number of things about Benghazi that just didn't get answered, and that was frustrating. But he did. You're right. He laid out the timeline exactly perfectly. And thanks for the call, by the way. Because we now know that Defense Secretary Panetta knew that it was a terror attack. The Pentagon knew minutes after it began that it was a terror attack. They go to see the president. The president wouldn't answer. He wouldn't answer the question if Mr. Panetta told him or not. And then they come out for 5 days talking about the film and the spontaneous uprising and all the rest of that junk. And the worst part is Americans died. Kevin McCullough, so glad you're with us. I'm in the AFA Today bunker because Snowmageddon is rolling through New York, and we're glad to be still in the belly of the news beast, but just, shoring up a little bit today. Stay with us. More of AFA Today straight ahead on AFR Talk.